this is Laura. I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics. We make the safest, most proven effective care on the planet, and we do that by omitting all 109, current count, of the known contact allergens as published by independent sources that we track and study and stuff. And we also regularly publish clinical trials, many of them randomized double-blind clinical trials in peer-reviewed journals. At this point, over 80, thanks to my mother, who is our founding dermatopathologist. So we're doing a new thing called Ask a Skintellectual, where on Instagram at VMV Hypoallergenics, we ask you what you want to ask a skintellectual. I'm going to be answering some of your questions on Instagram that we got from you on Instagram this week. Okay, so the first question is, ever since I was a kid, I would get red, itchy spots every time I was exposed to the sun. The first thing we'd recommend here is to see a dermatologist because this might be a photoallergic or photosensitive condition, or it might be exacerbated by allergens in products that you're using that are labile, photosensitive. So when you're out in the sun, the light triggers a reaction. Until you can get to your dermatologist, a nice purely mineral allergen-free sun and light screen like Armada post-procedure might help. The thickness serves a double purpose. It's a physical barrier cream against other allergens as well. Okay, the next question we have is what facial treatment is recommended to make pores smaller? Few possible things here. So our pores with age, aging skin, I'm 49, as we lose some elasticity, it can kind of droop and make pores appear bigger. There's nothing that can sort of permanently shrink the pore size, but there are some things like we have a product called Fine Finish Porcelain Mattifier Toner, and it has an active ingredient that helps the cells around each pore expand, and as they expand, they constrict the pore size. A lot of people like it. You can check that out. And there are some procedures. So again, we'd ask your dermatologist, but the Energet, for example, can help with sort of tightening skin, which might help with the larger appearance of pores. This next question is about our virgin coconut oil, our organic virgin coconut oil. And the question is basically why it's so much more expensive than other virgin coconut oils. And there are a few reasons. The first is because it is really cold pressed, first pressed. It's very manually extracted actually and processed. When you use heat, chemicals, machines, it's much more efficient. It's so you get a lot more oil much more quickly. And it takes about 4 full coconuts, if I'm not mistaken, to make 1 bottle. So it really takes much, much slower to get our organic virgin coconut oil. That's the first reason. And the reason we do that is because you tend to lose more of the phytochemicals and the important things in the oil the more processing you do. Certainly with heat, certainly with added chemicals. Even with spinning, you can lose some. So that's the first reason. The second is this particular oil is the one we use in our randomized double-blind clinical trials that are published in peer-reviewed journals. And these trials, it's kind of a reason why not everyone does them. They do cost quite a bit, and we do them. And the third is that we get our organic virgin coconut oil from a farm in Leyte in the Philippines, which is a collective, and that supports actually the neighboring communities. We teach organicity, we help farmers in the area, we share food and education. So, it may not be the cheapest oil out there, but we'd warrant it is the only or one of the very few that has a clinical study, multiple at this point, on it in particular, that are published in peer-reviewed journals. So the quality is really different. What is the best moisturizer for very dry, sensitive skin caused by retinoids? So the first thing we'd recommend is actually to get a patch test because It's a common myth to think that the very last thing you used or applied is the culprit and the reason for your dryness and sensitivity. It actually might be something you've been using for years that hasn't caused a problem, but has finally tipped you over into an allergy, or it's just been a subtle irritation that, finally through use or whatever, it's caused the dryness and sensitivity. The patch test is a good idea to make sure what is causing that dryness and sensitivity. And then we'd normally recommend what we call a 7-day skin fast. It's sort of like an elimination diet, but for skin, where you would take 7 days and use nothing, basically. Cleanse your face with our virgin coconut oil, for example, that's it. And then very slowly start reintroducing stuff. Drop us a private message or DM and we can help make that happen. This next question is about darkening in the creases under the breast, and I'm actually really psyched you asked that question because we're seeing an increase in hyperpigmented contact dermatitis. And it's a really interesting condition because my mom has said she hears patients say that doctors will look at the condition and basically say, it's just aging skin. Also, for it to be a contact dermatitis, usually one would expect some sort of itching or redness to precede it. And for some of these, they don't. They just sort of get dark in the areas under the breasts, near the armpits, in the groin area even, or around the waist for men and for women. And a lot of times it is a contact dermatitis. It could be from the rubbers and stretchy materials, the latex of your bra, for example, or the material itself, the dyes in there. Could be from your laundry detergent. It could also be exacerbated by the body washes or soaps or lotions that you're using. So a patch test can be your friend in that situation. There's also a nice company called Cottonique, Cottonique, and you can find them online, and they sell clothing and underwear specifically for people with clothing contact dermatitis. So I would go check them out. And we also make a hypoallergenic laundry shampoo called Fawn and Launder. If that's not in stock, because stocks have been really impacted by the pandemic, Superwash works, or Clark Wash, really, really well. And you can dilute it and wash your lingerie and your intimates in that. Another thing that I would recommend is we have a nice live stream on skin, sex, and underwear, and all the things that you might be embarrassed to talk about but shouldn't. And that's on YouTube or IGTV. Joyce Leah on Instagram is asking for rough facial skin, what products to recommend. And my mom always likes to say, it's never just the symptom, it's always the cause. So we try to figure out what is causing the roughness. It could be an underlying irritation to something you've been using for a while. Could be a new allergy, a new contact allergy that you have. It could also be a new condition. Like I developed rosacea later in life, and so the skin over here for me, it's usually in the central facial area where you notice rosacea is redder, you have dilated vessels, and there's a roughness to the skin. Once we figure out what that is, then it's much easier to figure out how to care for it. If it's just sort of a general roughness, let's say from aging and photo aging, exposure to the sun and the elements, and chlorine from all the disinfection these days, then we'd recommend very, very gentle care. So an allergen-free cleanser, pretty much any cleanser that we make. And then something that can help with micro-exfoliation, like an unbuffered glycolic acid. So like in our Re-Everything regimen, that's nice because it sloughs off the dead skin cells faster. And that natural process of microexfoliation that we have in our lives slows down as we age. Something like unbuffered glycolic acid can speed it back up again to get brighter, newer, fresher cells up to the surface that are softer to the touch as well. And definitely virgin coconut oil is another great addition, and definitely daily sun and light screen both indoors and out. Very important. Hembra on Instagram is asking, I want to start a skin regimen for the very first time, I'm assuming. I'm 40 and I have normal skin. Normal skin, no problems. You are spoiled with a choice. I like recommending the Super Skincare line to start with, especially if you've never used actives. And it comes, basically you would choose, if your skin is normal, you don't really have major concerns, I would recommend the Hydra Balance Super Skincare Regimen, cleanser or scrub, plus the toner, and then the moisturizer. The toner is nice because it is mandelic acid, which is a wonderful active, because our clinical trials have shown, and there are many, many that are published that are legit and awesome, have shown it's actually really effective and has great effects for hyperpigmentation and skin brilliance, as well as firming, without being as irritating as a lot of active ingredients can be. And that's because its molecular size is bigger. We'll get into that another time, but it's a great idea. And it also has monolauren, so it can help deal with occasional bumps as they come. So there. And then I would end with an Armada Sun and Light screen, maybe Armada 45 or Armada 60 if you're worried about hyperpigmentation, which is more of a worry these days, especially working with our gadgets and chlorine and other photoallergens around us. Hope that was helpful. Can I use the Red Better Calm the Heck Down balm more than twice a day? And the answer is yeah. When I have a flare, so I have an auto-inflammatory condition, and when I have a flare, I'm kind of in mid-flare right now, my seborrheic dermatitis and rosacea will tend to act up, and I will tend to apply Red Better Calm the Heck Down balm more often. However, ideally, you really shouldn't be applying it more than once or twice a day. And if you find yourself doing that, then it might be time to revisit your patch test, talk to your dermatologist, because there might be something new at play to consider. And it might be good to address that, because if you are using the Red Better regimen, really what's for daily use is the cleanser and the moisturizer. The Calm the Heck Down balm is sort of the last ditch effort before you have to reach for a steroid. So if you're really requiring that, you might need to have another talk with your dermatologist or revisit your patch test results and see if there's something that you're using that you didn't realize has your allergens, or to get a new patch test. Id monolauren gel as an all-over facial moisturizer or just as a spot treatment? And the answer is yes. Id gel is pretty awesome. I use it all over my face. I even use it on my chest and my back, because I tend to get sweat folliculitis. I'm very, very sweaty, as you can probably see. So yeah, it could totally be used all over the face. I know people who use it, who swear by it as a makeup primer. And then I also use it as a disinfectant hand gel. So yeah, you could totally use it for both. A is asking best products for eczema that can also help lighten dark spots because of pimples. A few things to go through here. So first, eczema is a blanket term that can mean quite a few things. For dermatologists, it normally means atopic dermatitis. So ask your doctor if you can get a more specific diagnosis. Is it atopic dermatitis, psoriasis, contact dermatitis, etc.? Eczematous skin. Eczema is usually an adjective for skin that develops tiny little bubbles that then crust over and get dry and itch, right? So usually that skin is extremely dry and has some barrier defect. That does not mean that it cannot also develop acne, but it's less likely. Rosacea is very dry skin that can also develop acne-like lesions, but eczema, it's less frequent. Not to say it can't happen, but less frequent. So if there is eczema, atopic dermatitis is what we'll sort of work with. We would normally recommend extremely gentle hair and body shampoo like Clark Wash, Essence Clark Wash, and conditioner. As a cleanser, we'd recommend Red Better Daily Soothing Cleanser because it's allergen-free and has anti-inflammatories as well. Everything we make is non-comedogenic, and if something is allergen-free, it's especially not acne-genic, which is important. And then as a daily moisturizer for eczema, we would normally recommend layering. So we would do, say, Mommy Coddling All Over Lotion from the Grandma Mini line, or Essence Hand and Body Soother, and then followed by virgin coconut oil, our Know-It oil, or Oils Well. If the eczema is very bad on certain areas of the body, or the itching, you're going through a phase, we'd recommend then following with Boo Boo Balm. And then Armada Post-Procedure or Armada Baby to add more of a physical barrier. For lightening with eczematous skin, we would concentrate primarily on prevention. If there is darkening that's being caused, we'd like to maybe sort of isolate what is causing the darkening. Is it exposure to sun and light? Maybe you're not wearing a sun and light screen indoors as well. Maybe you're using products with photoallergens that tend to encourage hyperpigmentation. I think because of the multiple symptoms there of the eczema that isn't specifically diagnosed, and the acne, and the hyperpigmentation, I would defer first and foremost to your dermatologist and potentially ask about a patch test or even a photo patch test. And Faith is asking about products for darkening around the lips. I am sounding like a broken record, but basically we want to ask first what is causing it. So we would start with prevention, prevention, prevention. Around the lips, acne, darkening, dryness and stuff around on the lips themselves, around the mouth and chin, and on sort of the jawline, we tend to think of perioral dermatitis. And that can be caused by a sensitivity to chemicals called halogens, like fluoride, chloride, which is in several bleaches that we're using now in COVID time, iodides from salty foods, bromides from certain cough medication, if I'm not mistaken. So the first thing we'd recommend is switching to Essence Skin Saving Toothpaste and not using any other mouthwashes or oral care products that have flavor, dye, fragrance, or other allergens or halogens. But please, of course, triple check with your dentist if that's okay, because you might have specific oral care needs that require fluoride. Then you could put Boo Boo Balm to be sort of an additional barrier, but the wisest course would be a patch test to figure out what is causing the darkening around the lips. If it's very isolated here, the good news is it really might be a contact dermatitis. So maybe something that you're eating. Like if you patch test positive to citrus or mangoes, then that might be causing it. So that's how we would start. Sir is asking if our Illuminance Axolite antiperspirant is alcohol-free, and it is not. But what I would like to add there is not all alcohol is bad for skin. In fact, there's a lot of misunderstanding with alcohol. A lot of alcohols aren't drying. A lot of alcohols are actually moisturizing. Lanolin, an allergen, but it is moisturizing. So yeah, we do, that product has alcohol, but we use non-allergenic alcohols at concentrations that are well tolerated by the skin. Oh, sorry, on the alcohol issue, we have a great post on vmvinskin.com on alcohols that really explains alcohols in skincare. You might find that helpful. What product do we recommend for acne marks and how to lighten scars from eczema? Kind of related answer here. So again, first and foremost, make sure you're controlling the cause that leads to the inflammation that is leading to the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So for acne, that would be using things that are non-comedogenic, non-acnegenic, because remember, non-comedogenic just means they won't clog pores and cause a comedone. Non-acnegenic is perhaps no allergens, nothing to irritate the pore, causing inflammation and infection. And then for eczema, making sure that eczema is really well under control. And eczema, knowing what it is first. Is it atopic dermatitis? In which case a patch test goes a tremendously long way to make sure you are avoiding your particular allergens. Assuming all those things are in control, and for acne, you're also maybe complementing with an active treatment. And for eczema, you're doing the whole prevention, moisturization, barrier repair thing. A good sun and light screen like Armada used every single day, both indoors and out, even if you're just in front of your computer, because visible light does cause hyperpigmentation, can already go a long way towards that. Otherwise, for the acne, we have a nice combined regimen of ID or super skincare with Illuminance that you can find on vmvinskin.com. Search combining regimens. It's super easy to find. And then for eczema, we would focus on prevention primarily because it might be too sensitive a condition for active treatments like with Illuminance. If we're talking about other types of scars that are more indented textural scars, the Enerjet is a wonderful non-radiation machine of just air jet propulsion that has shown really great results for removing or lessening scars. Can I use Illuminance cream in addition to Illuminance Axolite for lightening the underarms? And the answer is yes, but ideally you shouldn't have to. So again, we'd go back to what is causing a potential contact dermatitis there that is causing post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So we would look at what are you using as your cleansing for that area. Essence Superwash is a great idea. And certainly your laundry detergent, look at Fawn and Laundry or Superwash. And then, what was I going to say? Yes, look at underwear, bra, or your shirts in the sleeve area, especially. Avoid materials that have stretchy sort of stuff in it, latex, those are top contact allergens. Use pale or completely white, or even better, completely natural, uncolored, unbleached materials. Again, there's a great company called Cottonique.com, Cottonique, and they make clothing precisely for this. So that should help really reduce that. Otherwise, I'd see a dermatologist and try to get a more accurate read on what might be causing that hyperpigmentation. I get, red-faced and stinging when staying in an air-conditioned room. Definitely, I would see a dermatologist at this point. There's actually a type of urticaria, or a type of skin sensitivity, that is temperature sensitive. So that might be good to rule out. Air-conditioned rooms tend to be extremely drying to skin. So that might be part of the problem, in which case you might have an underlying irritation actually causing the redness and the sensitivity. So it might be anything that you're using with allergens or irritants. So yeah, if you want like a full regimen, or to sort of go through, we have a very detailed questionnaire of about 20 questions where we ask what you're using and really try to delve in and give you more specific recommendations. You can drop us a private message and we'll help.